order. But before we take roll call, I do want to take a moment to recognize our newest installed commissioner, Mr. Oliver Jenkins, and welcome to the commission.
Well, thank you. Excited to be here.
All right, we can go ahead with roll call.
Mark Cole.
Here.
Oliver Jenkins,
Present.
Monty Matalago,
Here.
Vernell Neville,
Here.
Tony Pari,
Here.
Eula Simeon,
Here.
Jared Ricky,
Here.
Lenore Feeney. Here. Jason Hanneman
Here.
and Erica Dorsey.
Here.
Hey, with that, observe a moment of silence, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not seeing any, I take we have no requests by employees or others to address the commission on items on the agenda.
No, sir, not for items on the agenda.
I have the ones for, okay. All right, it takes us to our first order of business, the election of officers pursuant to State Police Commission Rules 2.1B. Do we have any motions?
I would move that Eula Simeon serve as chair. Second.
Any others? Okay, I guess we'll take a vote. All in favor? Can I vote against? All right. The next office is vice chair.
I'd like to make a motion that Monty Lago continue to serve as vice chair.
Second.
Multiple seconds. Any other motions relative to this? All in favor?
Aye.
Definitely aye. Any opposed?
Very good.
Consider it, the next item on the business agenda is consideration of the meeting minutes from December 14th of 2023. Any motions?
So moved.
Move that they be approved as submitted. Any second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Will you show me as abstaining please, since I wasn't here?
Yes, Commissioner. Rick A was not present, so he abstained from the vote.
And me as well.
And of course, a new commissioner abstained as well. Okay, at this point, we have an appearance by new Colonel Robert Hodges regarding immediate priorities and plans for the Department for Public Safety. Would you please come forward? And just, we all know who you are, but just for the purposes of official record, just go ahead and identify yourself.
Robert Hodges, Superintendent, Colonel, Deputy Secretary, Louisiana State Police.
Whichever you're more comfortably seated or standing is fine with us.
Just wanted to address y'all standing first. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So good morning, Chairman, members. Glad to be part of the agency in this capacity and excited about the future. As y'all are aware, Governor Landry has made public safety a priority in his campaign and now in his tenure as governor. We are very fortunate to have that backing as an agency, as a department, and as a citizen of the state. I'd like to specifically speak on some topics and things that I'm requesting approval from you as members. First is the Troop NOLA. In the past, some refer to it as Troop N, some refer to it as a New Orleans French Quarter Detail. The plan is to stand up Troop NOLA, similar to other troops across the state, which are the other 9. This would be independent of those. It would start small and eventually grow due to our current personnel shortages. It will take some time to staff that through academy classes, through recruitment, which I'm going to talk on as well. We are confident in the future that it will be staffed properly and mirror the other 9 troops, but more focused to Orleans Parish and the city of New Orleans and citywide, not just in the French Quarter. That troop would look similar with a captain, lieutenants, sergeants, troopers. Initially, we would require to pull from area troops and utilize overtime in the short term until we can graduate Class 103, which finishes on March 8th. And then, as y'all are aware, Class 104 starts on April the 21st, with 2 others planned through the legislature for next fiscal year, one to start in the fall and then one followed in the spring. Additionally, Troop NOLA would have a major. And some would ask, well, is that going to be a separate region? No, we'll have it referred to as Major of Troop NOLA. Why is that so unique? Well, anyone who spent any time in the city understands it's the crown jewel of the state and how important tourism is. It's different dynamics and things that maybe aren't exactly the same in other troop areas because every troop has its own culture, even though our operations and mission are pretty constant and consistent. The major would also have a report to him of a statewide motorcycle coordinator, which we have not had. As you know, LSP has 50 riders and 35 motorcycles, which are used for various traffic enforcement, VIP related assignments, as well as special events, which we have throughout the year across the state, not just in New Orleans, but in every troop. Everybody thinks Mardi Gras, and I know I'm talking about Troop NOLA, but just please realize that every troop has its own festival, has its own big event that is very important to their community, their people, their culture, their business, their tax revenue. So the request is to have, from you all as members, to have a Troop NOLA officially in the city of New Orleans, utilizing the LSU space, which we currently have, that we used previously. The university has been so kind to continue to allow us to have that space where personnel are using it now in our motor carrier safety division, as well as our public safety offices. We're going to relocate them back to the Department of Transportation facility, which is on the West Bank by the old toll bridge. And then Troop NOLA, if approved from you all, would in turn occupy that space as it did previously up until, as y'all are aware, it was December 31st of 2020. The second is a recruiting section. If recruiting is important to you all, as it is to me, and it is to the men and women of Louisiana State Police, you can't just have 2 people in the section. We have to stand up a command, a captain, a lieutenant, sergeants, and troopers to actively work throughout Louisiana first and foremost, because we feel like, similar to a lot of our football coaches and other athletic coaches across the state, they want to recruit from home. So do we. But we can't do that with just 2 recruiters. So we're going to, as I request to you all, to build a recruiting command to ensure not only we recruit the best and brightest, but that we retain the best and brightest. And having that section with a captain, having a structure in place with specific goals that are attainable, and having a plan to not just go after the local universities in this area, but across the state, and look at our local law enforcement agencies as well as our military and all the folks that make LSP great. We plan to leverage all of those opportunities through the recruiting section. The next request is to increase our uniform allowance. As you're aware, our daily or shift uniform allowance is $8. It has not been raised since 2008. The current cost of a uniform to get dry cleaned has soared in recent years. Additionally, that allowance is also for alterations made to our uniforms, as well as the purchase of shoes. So the request is to increase the daily allowance from $8 to $15 per shift or per day of work for our commission troopers. Additionally, shift differential pay since 1995, as far as I could research back, that's when I joined the agency in June. It's been 50 cents an hour if you work at night, on the weekend. It's unacceptable. We would like to increase that from 50 cents to $5 an hour. It is aligned with many other local and state agencies and across the country. As a trooper who came up from the ranks of patrol and investigations, I'm very familiar with nights, weekends, and holidays. Although I can't speak to of late, because my positions have been in command, the personnel that work for me today, and as did they in the last few years, work those nights, weekends, and holidays. And it takes a toll on your body. And our men and women need to be compensated accordingly. As I look around the room, I'm very much aware that life across the country, across the globe, pretty much operates during the daylight hours, but public safety is a 24/7 business. We have to compensate our men and women accordingly for the risk that they put on themselves mentally, physically, and their family. And that's through this compensation. So respectfully requesting an increase from 50 cents to $5 per hour, what we refer to as shift differential. Lastly, the FTO pay. Our field training officer pay has been the same since 2002. It was $1.30 per hour. We want to increase that to $5 per hour. The importance of being a field training officer can't be measured enough. The first line supervisor before sergeant is really that field training officer. When our young men and women complete the academy, they go into field training from 14 to 16 weeks of training. That time is critical. We want to have the best and brightest training those new troopers. And in order to do that, we need to compensate the men and women who put in the extra time, effort, and training to mentor and coach those troopers to ensure that they learn all the skills and tactics to perform safely, professionally, and respectfully to the public. So if you look across the country again, best practices, $1.30 an hour is not, we're behind. So requesting to move to $5 per hour, those are per hour that you serve as an FTO, whether you're on your short day with an 8-hour shift or for all 12 hours. If you're in the field training capacity of a new trooper, you will be compensating accordingly. So to just recap, I discussed Troop NOLA, request for a command in the city, recruiting command headquartered out of Baton Rouge, but troopers from across the state. And then the last part is the 3 increases: a uniform allowance, shift differential, and FTO pay. Each of those 3, if approved by you, still require legislative approval, specifically funding for those, which we're going to ask for once we have the commission's blessing. Gonna move on to item 4.
Anyone have any questions about item 1?
Which is, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to provide a little clarification, and I wanted to thank the Colonel for being here to outline those priorities and also give some previews of requests to come, because as I understood it, the uniform allowance, shift diff, and the FTO increases in pay would be accompanied by a fiscal note and come up at a future meeting. It wasn't on this current agenda at this time, but with regards to the Troop NOLA and the recruitment sections, it is those classifications, those position descriptions arrived in our office. And as executive director, I signed off on the classifications to establish those position descriptions. And I believe a blessing of the commission going forward for the creation and the implementation of Troop NOLA and the actual filling of those positions would be appropriate.
But it's not currently on.
It's not on the agenda. The classifications under my authority as the director, I can establish the classifications that are there. I think the colonel was giving you a background on the importance of the need for those positions, but that wasn't a specific item on the agenda.
Would it be appropriate for us to add it to the agenda?
I think it would be appropriate.
We'll entertain a motion to add that item to the agenda relative to the classifications.
So move.
Thank you, Executive Director, Chairman, members.
And take a roll call vote on amendment of the agenda.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
Mark Cole,
Yes.
Marcy Matalago,
Yes.
Vernell Neville,
Yes.
Tony Pari,
Yes.
Olive Jenkins. Olive-
Yes.
And Euless Simmons.
Yes. Okay, now that it's been unanimously added to the agenda.
Correct. Now you can
We'll
vote.
entertain a motion to ratify the actions taken by the executive director to create those positions.
So moved.
So moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Relative to the other items, we can get that on the agenda for next time or?
Yes, that's my understanding. We'd have the actual, be provided with the actual documentation, the requests, the funding costs.
Sure.
I apologize for the
No,
out of order
it
protocol.
wasn't audible. You're expressing your desires and what you would like to, where you'd like to see this agency go. And your desires, I think, are consistent with ours. We want to improve this agency and make it a better place for our troopers and for the citizens of the state. So no apologies necessary. We can dream together until next time. Then it won't be a dream. We'll come together and actually take some steps.
One team, one dream, one Louisiana.
Very good.
Number 4 is a request for temporary individual pay adjustment, the amount $504.80 biweekly for Michael Nicolini, State Police Lieutenant, in accordance with Commission Rule 616C, effective January 11, 2024, until such time he meets the minimum qualifications to detail to captain, or he's no longer serving as acting commander for the Protective Services Unit. That is the governor's security detail commander.
Yeah, we're gonna get to those.
I'm sorry.
Agenda items.
Yes, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you needed me to read it formally or if I could just, I didn't know if you had questions. I guess I'm out of turn. Go,
No, no.
y'all go ahead.
I would not say that, Colonel.
That's
But
fine.
we are going to get to those
Yes,
pay increase
Very good.
requests and on the agenda, but if there's anything, and when we get to those, certainly feel free to add something at that point. But is there any other general comments you would like to make?
just in closing, remind everyone of the importance of effective communication and timely decision-making on all in the room and those that work in Department of Public Safety, specifically our state police troopers. Long ago, I was always told it's going to take a while, it's going to take a while. And I understand everything can't happen today or even tomorrow, but it can move a lot faster. And I think the public expects it, and really we should demand it. And my goal and maybe my ambition, a little short-sighted today, jumping out of protocol, maybe I got a little excited, was to emphasize the importance of things that we can control, you all as a commission, as a board, myself as superintendent, colonel, deputy secretary, that I can move along. So someone is not waiting for me to advance initiatives that are critical to the development and advancement of Louisiana State Police. So my ask of everyone, including myself, is to ensure that we don't put something off tomorrow that should be done today.
Totally understood, Colonel. But you see, part of the problem is if we jump out of protocol, Mr. Burns over there is going to tell me that I can't do that. And so
I understand.
I don't want to get in trouble with Mr. Burns over there.
And that's why I have a legal team behind me that can tap me on the shoulder anytime they like.
Does that conclude your?
It does. Thank you.
Why don't you stay seated there because we're about to move to agenda item number 4. It's a request of the Office of State Police for a temporary individual pay adjustment in an amount of $504.08 bi-weekly for Michael Nicolini.
Yes.
Nicolini, State Police Lieutenant, in accordance with State Police Commission Rule 6.16C. That would be effective January 11th, which is today, until such time as he meets the minimum qualifications for detail to captain, or he is no longer serving as the acting commander of the Protective Service Unit. We have a motion.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Would you like to say anything in regards to that, Colonel, other than?
I I guess for those in the room, who may have some concern about that. It's historically, the new governor comes in, he identifies someone who works within the agency to lead and command his or her protection detail. And it's someone that they trust implicitly with their family. And that is why that's an unclassified position. Or rather, in this case, we're requesting a detail and why it's not something that hasn't been done in the past. And we understand the importance and statutorily importance of the protection of the governor and the first family, as stated in law.
If you don't mind, take a second to explain what it means to detail somebody and why we're having to
So-
vote on this right now.
In this particular instance, it's actually acting because the lieutenant who's been identified doesn't have 2 years as a state police lieutenant. So it's not actually detailed. They'll be acting commander, and it's a special pay, which still aligns with a detail pay, which is allowed within the rules. It allows the person in that position to hold the command level title and authority to run that unit effectively and efficiently, therefore protecting the first family, as well as to be compensating accordingly. So because the person, the Trooper Nicolini, or whoever would be in this position and historically in the past has been detailed. In this case, it'll just be acting until such time as noted in the stipulation that they will have the 2 years as lieutenant to be eligible.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, think it's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Item number 5 is a request for the Office of State Police for a temporary individual pay adjustment in the amount of $585.02 bi-weekly for Valentine Emery III, State Police Lieutenant, in accordance with State Police Commission Rule 6.16C, effective January 11th, with an adjusted increase to $602.40 to account for longevity pay, effective January 29, 2024, until such time that he meets the minimum qualifications for detail to captain, or he is no longer serving as the acting commander of Troop NOLA. Is there anything other than what you've told us already you would like to speak as to that particular matter?
I'd just like to, for historical note, this was done previously in 2017 when we stood up Troop N. We did that initially. This mirrors that, given the importance of public safety and the governor's vision of the city. This really needed to be done some weeks ago, but as we know, couldn't be done because January 8th wasn't here and we didn't meet till the 11th.
And so this is basically bring his pay in line with the new responsibilities.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
And moved and seconded simultaneously. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. Takes us to business item number 6, request from the Office of State Police to increase the rate of special escort pay from $60 per hour to $75 per hour for all classified troopers and unclassified WAE troopers eligible to work a special escort assignment in accordance with State Police Commission Rule 6.29, effective January 15, 2004. you like,
2024.
oh, what did I say, 2004? No, I think we'd be in trouble if we made the retroactive to 2024. I'm just showing my age that I'm losing track of the years here. Do we have a motion?
Move to accept.
Moved and seconded. Colonel, would you like to speak as to that matter?
So our last increase when we raised to 60 an hour was in 2017. As you all are aware, everything has gone up in cost across the country, not just COVID, through the last few years significantly. Our detail and off-duty pay for escorts and details, escorts are statutorily mandated. The details, special details that we do, all the highway projects on the road, our detail rate, unlike other police agencies across Louisiana, do not differentiate between nights, weekends, holidays, or ranks. So whether you're a trooper or whether you're a captain working the detail, it's the same pay. And so I just feel like that on the record, I want to make sure the public's aware of that.
And is this detail, this pay for this particular, that's actually funded by the
It is,
party being escorted?
yes, sir. So whatever company requests the escort, whatever construction project, whoever's running, whatever company has that funding it comes from, I guess you'd refer to it as third-party funding.
It's not state funds.
It's not state funds, that's
I
correct.
just wanted to make sure we were clear on that.
Yes, sir.
Can, been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Right, we got one more. Business item number 7. Request from the Office of State Police to amend the rate of pay for all commission-approved unclassified WAE trooper positions from $27 to $35 per hour to $35 to $40 per hour in accordance with State Police Commission Rule 4.1 D2, effective January 11, 2024. Do we have a motion? It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Colonel, would you like to speak as to that matter?
The importance of the WAE program can't be emphasized enough due to our low numbers in the agency at the moment. We're fortunate to have men and women who've retired from the agency that wish to come back in a WAE trooper role to fill critical assignments that we have to perform, and we can leave the other men and women on patrol and they can handle those, whether it's at a patrol troop investigative office. They have the institutional knowledge. They understand our expectation. They know the policy, procedure, and therefore I can't, just like previously, the value, you have to compensate the men and women accordingly. Thank you.
And I hope you share the same concern that we as a commission have expressed, is that we understand the need because of shortages, but we look forward to the day when there will not be such a need, that you will have full-time troopers manning those positions. I hope you share that view with
I
us.
certainly do. And I think many of the men and women that serve in those roles now would probably enjoy working fewer hours. However, their upbringing and their years of service with state police and their call to be a public servant overwhelm them. And so they end up working more hours, but they too would like to work fewer hours because it is their second career. And so we envision in the next 5 years for the program to eventually reduce in number. We'll always probably have some, but not to the number we have now. So with the recruitment unit, with these increases to compensate accordingly, we feel very optimistic about the future of LSP.
And certainly during this meeting, we don't prolong the meeting overly, so won't be the time, but I'd love to sit down with you and talk about recruitment and building up our numbers of state troopers and with the right people that we need to do the job for Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other comments, questions by any commissioners? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. You batting 1,000, Colonel.
It's a great day. Thank you.
All right, it takes us to the next item of business, is item 8, in the matter of Justin Chasson, Department of Public Safety, consideration of public safety and corrections, Office of State Police. I understand there's a proposed settlement agreement for consideration. Go ahead and identify yourself.
Mr. Chairman, I'm George Harding, appearing for Louisiana State Police.
Morning.
Good morning, Ted Alpha on behalf of Justin Chasson.
I understand this is your first visit to our commission.
It is.
Congratulations. Or condolences, whichever the case might be. All right, so who wants to present it?
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, after close review of this case and further discussions with counsel for Justin Chasson, State Police has come to a conclusion that securing a certain penalty against Justin Chasson in this matter is rather than risk the various risks associated with protracted litigation is the wisest course of action. The formal settlement agreement that was previously submitted to the commission is going to govern, but in summary, the agreement is as follows. And if the commission would like a summary of the agreement, for conduct on becoming an officer, 40-hour suspension. For conformance to laws, 40-hour suspension. Violation of employee responsibility, 120-hour suspension. For violation of lawful orders, 40-hour suspension. It's a total of 240 hours suspended. This would be plus restitution of back pay with an offset credited to the state for any non-wage payments made at termination.
Thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, except that we asked the commission to approve the settlement.
Okay, at this time, we'll entertain a motion to go into executive session as we will be discussing in that session allegations of misconduct. Do we have a motion? Been moved and seconded. We take a roll call vote.
Mark Cole,
Yes.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
Monty Matalago,
Yes.
Vernell Neville.
Yes.
Tony Peri,
Yes.
Oliver Jenkins,
Yes.
and Eula Simmons.
Yes. Okay, we voted to go into executive session. Not picking on the person who's here for the first time, but when we go into executive session, you have to leave this area, go into the atrium area. Are y'all ready?
Give 1 second.
Apologize. We were trying to look.
It will come back to order. We'll entertain a motion to leave executive session. So moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
Mark Cole,
Yes.
Monty Matalago,
Yes.
Vernell Neville,
Yes.
Tony Puri,
Yes.
Oliver Jenkins,
Yes.
and Euless Simmons.
Yes. Okay, at this time, we have consideration and vote on whether to accept the proposed settlement agreement presented by the parties. Do we have any motions?
Make a motion.
Motion to approve. Motion to approve the settlement has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay. Do we need a roll call vote on this? Okay, we'll take a roll call vote, please.
Jared Ricky,
Yes.
Mark Cole,
Yes.
Monty Matalago,
Yes.
Vernell Neville,
Yes.
Tony Puri,
Yes.
and Oliver Jenkins.
Yes.
Okay, it's been passed by the commission. So the ayes have it. The settlement has been approved.
Very much.
We're gonna have to invite you back so we won't treat you so well next time. Ask Mr. Burns. Okay, the next item on the agenda is the director's report.
Mr. Chairman, the only item I have on my director's report for this meeting is a review of the commission's expenditures for the month. Behind tab number 9.
Okay.
Are there any questions of the commissioners?
How are we looking relative to our budget?
We're holding strong. We look like we're gonna do well, except for our legal services hours,
Well, if y'all wouldn't keep me so busy.
which we're keep busy. So we're gonna request a supplemental for that, but other than that, we're doing well.
I know it's small amounts, but just next year when we're putting it together for next fiscal year, obviously we need to look at travel. I know it's not a lot of money, but
Sure.
you know how I am about trying to hit the percentages.
Sure.
So,
Let's spend more and make that
Yeah.
less.
well, we have to make it more, probably because the cost of fuel and everything else is going up, that we're popping 100%, 99.33, and we still have a number of months to
Well,
go.
that's the percent remaining.
Oh, is it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, my bad. Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
Nope, never mind. We're cutting it.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-mm.
Don't say that. Some of us are traveling.
Come on.
We've only expended 23% of our travel for.
Well, on the flip side, then we got to get it back down. So,
And that concludes my director's report.
Now, we've had 2 requests, opportunity to address the commission by employees or others on matters not on the agenda. I don't know if these were in a certain order when you handed them to me or they just. Well, I'll go with the one that's on the top, Billy Broussard.
If I go after Mr. Burns, would you mind?
If it's fine with Mr. Burns, it's fine with me.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Robert Burns with Sound Off, Louisiana.
And what I'm asking to discuss today is what I feel very strongly is a need to clear the air with regard to Lieutenant John Clary having been falsely accused of concealing his body worn camera during the arrest of Ronald Green. I will be coming out with a sound off feature at approximately 3 o'clock today that will have extensive detail on this, but I have prepared between then a table. I'm going to leave it with Mr. Hanneman, and you're welcome to take the table if you'd like. I printed out copies for everybody. But let me just briefly hit the highlights today because I'm not going to infringe on your time. Between that arrest and April the 11th, 2021, it is a proven, documented fact that a minimum of 8 people, and I mean 8 people that I can prove with names, watched and or downloaded that video. Nevertheless, on April the 11th of 2021, there was a supplemental report prepared which falsely accused John Clary of having concealed that body-worn camera. As a result of that supplemental report, along with notes that were applicable for the report, which were conveniently leaked to a very, not some small sound off Louisiana, not to put myself down, but to a major media outlet, namely the Associated Press. That in turn resulted in a May 24th, 2021 article that was published all over the entire country, lambasting John Clary by name in the subheading, saying that he had concealed his body-worn camera for, quote, almost 2 years. Now, presumably that article then led to a very public televised appeal on the part of Senator Cleo Fields, where he said that given that this body camera had been concealed like this, and he openly called for the indictment of John Clary for obstruction of justice. And then on March the 22nd of 2022, during testimony of the Ronald Green hearing, the lead investigator of the case, Albert Paxton, said, I first learned of the Clary video on October or on or around October the 2nd of 2020. His testimony was corroborated shortly thereafter by Sergeant Scott Davis, who was the then LSP's use of force expert. He corroborated that he and Paxton had sat down and visited about that video in early October of 2020. I will hand it to then Chairman Tanner McGee, who point blank said to Mr. Paxton, many people have told me you knew all along about the Clary video. He had an interesting reaction to that. I'll let it go at that because I'm not going to infringe on y'all's time. But I will say this. He also testified that then Chief of Staff, Doug Kane, said that he didn't believe John Belton, quote, should even consider charges against John Clary. My mom used to always say, put a mark on the wall when something rare happened. I'll invoke that phrase now. I could not agree more with Doug Kane's statement in that regard, because the evidence is overwhelming that he did not conceal his body-worn camera. On April the 28th of 2022, giving tremendous credit to then Lieutenant Colonel Kenny Van Buren, who said point blank, and I quote, those who have alleged that John Clary concealed his body-worn camera, quote, nothing could be further from the truth, unquote. And I commend former Lieutenant Colonel Kenny Van Buren for his willingness to put that out there because it's a fact. Nevertheless, shortly thereafter, State Representative Debbie Villio, Republican Kenner, chose to counter Kenny Van Buren's arguments. And she put on quite a show. I'm going to stop there. She put on quite a show. All of this will be in videos on the production when I publish it at 3 o'clock. But I just want to say this. I investigated thoroughly every claim that she made, and I mean thoroughly. And I can just tell you, they are completely without merit. There'll be further elaboration. You'll see it either in the table or on the piece. Now, I'm almost wrapping up, Mr. Chairman, because I'm not going to take it, I'm not going to overstate my time. So despite all of this being aired in a very public setting, John Clary manages to get indicted on December the 15th of 2022. I don't know how something like that happens. I mean, I really don't. And, you know, one of the reasons I'm going to say there wasn't a lot of fanfare when John Clary was reinstated is because of the sound off piece that I published on November the 22nd that kind of laid the foundation for this, that those charges had no merit. So I think that's one of the reasons you didn't see any major backlash when John Clary was reinstated. But the only last thing I'm going to say is that there was then an Associated Press article that, in my opinion, gave a very misleading headline, because it still tilts toward pointing the finger of guilt toward John Clary. It says that a lieutenant who was alleged to have concealed his body-worn camera is reinstated with state police. Well, technically, that's a true headline, but I believe it needs to have the word falsely in front of accused. He was falsely accused. So what I'm doing in appearing before you, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate the commission's time, I am actively calling both on the commission as well as newly appointed Colonel Robert Hodges to launch an investigation into what happened in April and May of 2021 that triggered all of this. Because I believe it's necessary to clear the air over how something like this can happen. Because the problem is those newspaper articles that went out all over the country, they not only falsely gave John Clary a bad name, they give all the state police a bad name. When you have that kind of a falsity being spread on that kind of a wide of a forum. So I believe that the public needs to be enlightened on just what happened here. I believe the Green family needs to be enlightened on just what happened here. And I think in helping to restore credibility to state police, which has suffered badly over the years, that's a given. We can all stipulate to that. So I would call upon this commission and/or Colonel Hodges to launch an investigation to what happened during April and May of 2021 to result in a full-blown indictment of somebody that it should have been painfully obvious, that he did not do this and he was not guilty. And that's the reason that John Belton had to drop the charges, because that became very, very apparent. I don't know how an indictment got obtained, but it did. So thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Thank all of you for giving me this opportunity today. And with that, I'm done with my commentary. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any? All right, Mr. Broussard.
Morning, my name is Billy Broussard. I'm from St. Martin Parish. Y'all, in the spirit of clearing people's name, I would hope that maybe I could get my name cleared, including my former attorney, which just so happens to be our now governor. There was a police report done in the past that a trooper handled, and I believe it puts a bad name on state police when there's new evidence that comes to the table and they're pressured by district attorneys, the media, politics, not even politics. I mean, not even politicians, even when you got certain elected officials in your favor trying to get the truth out. And when you say clear your name, it clears, I mean, there's a lot of things that was said, including even in the courts, that, you know, me and my attorney, we bullied individuals, or bullied, the word bullied, illegally done things, et cetera, when the truth of the matter wasn't true. But when the truth came and we were able through senators to get the evidence of what truly happened at that time, he was I was still there. My attorney at the time, which is Jeff Landry, governor, was no longer my attorney. But we got to the bottom of the truth through a senator pushing GOSAP to give us the facts. When that evidence came to the table, the director of Office of Homeland Security, GOSAP, with a team of people comes and sits down with the district attorney in Calcasieu Parish, with the state police there, the same state trooper that had just done an investigation a couple of months before. This information that he was now providing was different than what was in the report, even though it was letters in the original police report that was, his name was on, he signed. But he comes back and says, no, after, further review, the truth is I didn't even type up this letter. I did sign it, but after further review, this is the truth. But yet state police trooper that was involved in the investigation refused to supplement the report. And the fact of the matter is, it wasn't his fault. It was because it's my belief that district attorney told him, do not supplement the report, because it was going to prove that me and or my attorney that filed the lien didn't do anything illegal. We didn't bully anybody, because now the evidence was going to clear us. So I pray that if you're in the, hopefully, I'm glad to see the state trooper he just spoke about was able to clear his name. But when you falsely accuse, you want to clear, you have, even as a citizen, I mean, what that trooper had been through, I've been following Mr. Burns' sound offs. I mean, he was really drugged through the mire. Well, I was drugged through the mire also. And just as a citizen, you want that same type of respect where you can get your name cleared. So I'm just hoping with the new administration that maybe I can get a supplement to a state police report that can clear my name. And I'm really happy to see the new Colonel Hodges and the team that the governor has put together. I have a lot of faith in them, but I will pray and hope that they maybe reconsider and my request and supplement the report to clear my name, including acts that my attorney at the time, which is now our governor, did in the past. So I really appreciate y'all time.
Thank you, sir. Those were all of the requests that we had. So we entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Any objections? We are adjourned.